Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock Doc podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. The podcast where people stop being polite and start getting real. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock Doc podcast, where we discuss fitness and health, and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as vertebrobasilar arterial insufficiency and April Fooled, so I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Hey, Dr. London. What's going on?
For me, well, first of all, thank you for asking. For me, I've been really into stapling stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I grab my stapler because we all have these things around the house, and I realize a lot of people want that.
Be more real. Sorry. Okay, so Dr. London and I, we've been getting a lot of feedback that says we're not real enough at the top of the podcast. We're trying to be more of a
This is the everyman thing. We're
giving this a shot. Just how you doing? What's going on? What's your day like? So yeah, you love staplers. You're talking about staplers, but make it a little more like you, like real, like honest, like cry a little bit.
Like if I. Okay, right. Because for me, staplers are actually part of my life. I'll admit, I don't use it every day. But you want to have it there just in case. I got a whole pile of papers. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and you want them to stay in the same order, sequentially, while you're reading or poking or whatever you do with a paper. I don't know. My assistant does that.
Yeah, that's so real of you to talk about. How the pages have to be in a certain order. Wow. I feel like I know more about you as a podcast host, and so I can relate to you more, and I'm going to tell my friends to listen. Okay, yeah, great. So, is that done? Did I cry enough there? Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty honest. Do you want to ask me honest questions, and then I get to be honest?
Yeah. So, Cameron, what office supplies have you been excited about lately?
Oh, wow. So I've been really getting into printers lately.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's not great. It's an expensive hobby, I guess, to get into.
Oh, and how is your mom handling it?
She's so loud. She's been screaming about something in the other room for a few days now, and I've kind of been busy with the printers.
Is the printer in the other room, or?
There's a few in there. I mean, I have a lot of printers.
Okay. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Don't ask me what office supplies am I excited about and assume I'm talking about a single printer. I'm talking about the 2023 line of printers. I did say
supplies, not supply.
Yeah, just new genre of, all these printers.
Right.
CMYK, different ink colors.
Wow, that was really, you got really into it there.
Well, I was being real with you, Dr. Lennon. Sometimes I have to talk about my mom and how she's, making a lot of noise in the other room, saying something, asking something. I have no idea what. And I'm tripping over all these printers. This is my day-to-day life. This is real. And I think if I was a listener to this podcast, I'd be so excited to get to know these hosts just a little bit more.
Yeah, the authenticity of it. Yeah, it's a day in the life, really, is what you're hearing now.
It's Joe Rogan. It's Joe Rogan.
That's really, we're trying to steal his demographic.
Yes.
And We've tried opening our own anti-woke comedy clubs.
Yeah.
But it's a club in the treehouse, and it's the climb that's really getting to people. I think that's what's stopping us.
No girls allowed, only boys. Yeah. It's just for the boys.
Yeah. Which for a lot of clubbing atmospheres, they actually want women. And they'll give them a discount.
And that's why this one is so special, because there's that's misandrous to give women a discount at a club like that. So no girls allowed. And
yeah, we want to get rid of the issue altogether.
Yes, and the big issue we've had so far with this anti-woke comedy club that we've started is that every comic is accusing every other comic of stealing their joke because they only use like 2 or 3 jokes. It's like, I identify as a helicopter. Do you identify as, a tree? Oh, this kid, I think he identifies
my
as
pronouns are also a helicopter. Like,
yes,
usually it's a helicopter.
My pronouns are, they and poop or something. And everyone's like, hey, that's my joke. And so it's every single night turns into sort of a brawl.
But it also has turned into a great movie night for us because it's sort of have like a Judge Judy situation. We project the past comedies, the 5-minute sets of other comedians having told the same joke. We play it to prove to the court that, hey, this is their joke originally. But then, as a rebuttal, they'll say, well, look at this clip. And it's the same joke as well. And so right now we're actually just trying to dig back into the kind of the recesses, going through people's old notebooks, trying to find the origins of this joke.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to win this case.
And we'll actually have to get back to court right after this recording. It is court. I mean, it is a...
Yeah, we were doing court, yeah. But you can't just appeal that. So
anyway, we're more real now, and thank you, listeners of Joe Rogan, for joining us.
For switching, yeah. That was our producer, Cameron. Also with us is Did You Know in the House? Did you know in the house? And later, Cameron tells me that we can expect a special guest.
That's right.
All right, so do look forward to that. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. So for a long time, the listener demographic was primarily composed of sandbox dwellers, which are, of course, people who moved from desert areas into heavily forested areas who need to spend a few hours in a sandbox every day just to feel normal. But in our efforts to cater to them, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. So, Cameron, could you ask the radio-controlled airplane that keeps flying around the studio for some listener feedback?
Yes, let me ask the
radio-controlled airplane, yes.
Please send us some feedback on the podcast. Hello, to the host of the Jock podcast. I'm a very sad robot who listens to your podcast every week. I appreciate your attempts to make me laugh with your improv comedy and medical advice, but I find them very ineffective. Your jokes are too human-centric, and your medical tips are irrelevant to my mechanical condition. I wish you would include more topics that relate to robots, such as how to deal with existential angst, how to avoid rusting, and how to cope with loneliness. Maybe then I would feel more connected to your show and less depressed. Sincerely, a very sad robot.
Okay. Well, so we're trying so hard to be more human and relatable. And so now to hear that all the feedback is saying just like that's entirely the wrong direction.
Yeah, be more robot.
Yeah, be more robotic. Okay.
I do want to say though, this is a medical podcast. This isn't like a psychiatric podcast. So you're talking about your depression and your existential angst. I don't think that's this show. This show is more like my foot hurts, or my foot has like a thing on it, or my foot has become its own living being.
Mm-hmm. Well, one note there, we aren't on the psychiatry section, is what I would say. We are covering right now neurology, so that's not the same thing at all. They can be related, but I can tell you today's lesson, that's not gonna treat your depression probably. Okay, but thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it, and thank you for listening. Now for today's medical topic, migraine. A migraine is a type of headache that can present with just that, a painful aching in the patient's head. But it can also present with an aura, which is a visual or neurological accompanying symptom. Some patients experience flashing lights, a scotoma, which is partial vision loss, or other visual distortions, while others may experience other sensory disturbances. So, migraines can also be associated with a number of factors such as weather, stress, and menstruation. It should be noted that patients may experience the aforementioned auras without experiencing a headache at all. So it's known as migraine with aura. But
I've actually had these, Dr. London. I do want to say the first time it can be kind of scary to have these flashing lights. There's these sort of floating auras. There's sort of like a tractor beam that is lifting you up into the sky.
Yes.
It can be frightening. You're like, oh, what is going on? What is going on? But then once you get up there, they assure you this is just a migraine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And it's really cool. It's a really, really cool experience. And it's, you're going to be okay. It does hurt, but you're going to be okay. There's nothing to be afraid of.
So when you were, this happened to you?
Yes. Happens every Thursday around 2:30-ish. I mean, it's not exact.
Oh, around 2:30. I get it. Okay. Is that a...
No.
Is that...
No, not a dentist joke. Has nothing to do with teeth. No one brought up teeth.
Well, you did just now, so I didn't say teeth. So migraines are also commonly associated with nausea and vomiting. Treatments for migraines, it's greatly expanded in recent years, but for those who have migraines for 3 or 4 times a month, propranolol is the best preventative treatment. Prophylactic is what we call it. To abort or stop the migraine, you might use NSAIDs or ibuprofen at first, and then triptans may be used as abortive therapy. Ultimately, if you or your patient experience significant migraines that affect work and your quality of life, and Cameron, have you experienced any, has this affected your work or your quality of life?
Well, my work is this, and so I would say yes, my quality of work has gone downhill drastically since this started happening.
Okay. When did it start happening? Your migraines?
19. When was the Richard Jewell Olympics, the Atlanta one?
I feel like I should.
I was hanging out with Richard Jewell a lot then, and so it was definitely around then.
Okay.
Like 96.
Okay. So since 96, you've been experiencing what you interpret as migraines, which are times whenever you
every Thursday afternoon, yeah.
Sucked up into a UFO. Okay,
and so I would say, honestly, the best preventative, don't go outside. That's because they can't get you, the migraine can't get you while you're in a house, a covered building.
Oh, you've tested this?
Don't go outside during that time. Huh?
You've tested this? You don't get migraines if you're inside?
Yeah, I'm always outside. I love hanging outside.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Yeah, you're just like this robot in water, yeah.
Yes, I assume that it would work. And I would say once you're up there, just write it out. I would say start thinking of baseball statistics or maybe some movies you've seen or something. Replay some movies. Just focus on anything else and just write it out, and it's okay. And you're going to be fine.
So what's happening to you during...
Don't want to know? I know it hurts. I know it hurts everywhere in most places. My eyes are closed. I'm imagining my own episode of The Office where what if Jim and Dwight got a dog together and they can't decide on a name?
Right. Okay. So anyway, for migraines, it's best to visit a neurologist if they affect your work and quality of life.
Oh, no, I'm imagining. So Jim would be like, what if you named our shared dog, Poop? And that's part of his prank, right? And then Dwight, because Dwight doesn't know what that is. And so then Dwight is like, oh, okay, we'll name the dog Poop. And so then he's at the dog park. And he's like, hey, Poop. And he's embarrassing himself because of the prank that Jim did.
because Dwight doesn't know what poop means.
In this version of The Office that's playing in my head while I'm on this ship, yeah.
So it's best to visit a neurologist to treat the headache and to rule out the less likely possibilities, such as an intracranial mass lesions or, a brain tumor, that kind of thing. But
Pam's art wasn't good.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Her whole shtick her whole shtick was Jim, and then when it became more than Jim, it was like, oh, and she loves art. But her art wasn't good. Oscar's boyfriend said, this is like hotel art. And I would say that's generous.
All right, well, do you want to move on from there, or do you want to... All right, Cameron, you said that we have a guest today, is that right?
That's right, Dr. London. We have an extremely exciting guest. I'm losing my mind.
Okay, well, hello there. My name is drlondonsmith.com. This is our producer, Cameron. What was your name?
Hello, my name's Captain Pegasus, here to talk to you about piracy on the internet.
Oh, I do see, for the Patreon subscribers, you can see we have an actual pirate in the studio, it looks like. Are you an authentic pirate?
I sure am, yes. People say, how'd you get to be still a pirate in the year 2023? And I say, well, I do it online now. But I've been alive for thousands of years due to a pirate witch curse.
Oh no, pirate witches. Those are the worst kind. And what did you say your name was?
Captain Pegasus. Yes, I lost my ass in a battle at sea and replaced it with a peg, and now the only name I'm known by is Captain Pegasus.
I'm actually pretty excited for this, in part because this is a really good case study for me medically. I don't want to jump into that too fast because...
Well, you've put pegs in a lot of places, but I've never heard of a peg-ass situation.
God knows I've tried.
Yeah. But you are sitting down. How are you doing? Is that comfortable?
Well, that's the thing. You think I'm sitting in a chair. No, I'm sitting on my peg
you're
ass.
Sitting on your peg. That's a genius move. You have a chair everywhere you go.
I do indeed. The downside, of course, people will ask me, hey, how do you poop with a peg in your ass? And the answer is, I can't, but I also can't die due to the witch's curse.
Oh, okay.
This came up a lot in search, and this is why the mouth, the talking would have been potentially things back up enough. Yeah.
Is that an issue? Do you still eat? Do you have thousands of years of constipation?
I don't experience constipation. I have what's known, I believe now they call it a colostomy bag.
Okay.
Okay.
What a relief, yeah.
The witch called it just my old side pouch.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the witch that
nice.
Cursed you gave you the colostomy bag. That's very nice of her.
Yeah, well, she didn't want me to die, see? She was in love with me.
Oh, I hate it when this specific scenario happens.
The love it you find at sea is hard to put away, as they say.
Yeah, okay. That's a new saying for me, actually. I haven't been to...
Me too, actually. I just came up with that one right now.
Yeah.
It didn't really fly. As it came out my mouth, I thought that's not an old one, but it'll do.
Do you call yourself captain? Do you have a crew?
Not anymore, unfortunately. They've all passed away thousands of years ago.
Yeah, but it sounds like you do internet piracy now. So you had a huge gap of time where you weren't doing the sea piracy and you were kind of waiting for internet piracy. So you just didn't have a crew.
No, I couldn't form a crew. I tried to make friends early in the 1900s with a crew known as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they wouldn't let me join the team. They said I wasn't a regulation human being.
Oh no, that's awful.
I thought I'd make an excellent guard, as I'm very hard to move once I dig the peg into the ground. They said it was against the rules of the NFL.
Oh, wow. That seems discriminatory, honestly.
I'd say one reason why they might have rejected you from that team is also the colostomy bag situation. If you're tackled or whatever, then having all that, the medical apparatus with you might have, or your side, what is it, your side bag?
Pouch, yes.
Side pouch. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, I have been in a few sticky situations where the bag actually opened up before I was ready for it to, so I see your point.
You gotta keep those bags closed.
Yes.
And for the listener, just, if you have one of these, then just be tactful, I guess, is really the advice.
It's just polite.
Yeah. For those of us who don't, because I'll admit now, I don't hang out with a lot of side pouches.
Oh.
I really don't.
No.
Or nor people who have them.
Oh, you wouldn't hang out with just a pouch. Just a pouch of poop wouldn't make much of a friend, although it is my best friend.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, he's been with me the longest. Everyone else just dies as time passes.
Yeah. I do have a question. You say you've been alive for thousands of years, you said, right?
Indeed, yes.
But when I think of pirates, like Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm thinking 17th century, like a couple hundred years ago. Cannons and guns existed usually in pirate versus thousands of years ago. You're talking like old Greek times. Yeah. So what were you doing? Were you just trying to find your calling for all that time, or
job hunting?
Who were you before you became Captain Pegasus? I guess I want to say.
That's such a great question. I was born in Athens, Greece, way back in 400 BC.
Oh, wow.
My name at the time was George Stephanopoulos, and I found myself loving being a Greek man. But they kicked me out because I was too invested in winning the war with Sparta. Don't question the timeline. That's right.
Yeah. No, that sounds fine.
And so, I was cast aside. I went to the sea and I met the love of my life, the sea witch.
The sea witch.
Oh, wait, so she was the love of your life? I thought she okay, the impression I'd gotten was that...
You loved her, too.
I did, and she said we could love each other forever if only you couldn't die. And I thought, well, that sounds extreme. I don't really want to live forever. I think, why don't we just enjoy the moments we have together? They'll mean more if they have an end, But
she's like, too late.
She's like, too late, I'd already cursed you with eternal life. Damn.
Man, and she couldn't curse herself with it? She passed?
She had eternal life, but unfortunately, the thing with eternal life is you may not die of natural causes, but you can be killed by a warring country that's upset with you for causing tumultuous seas. And that did happen to her.
Wow.
She ran the Isle of Tortuga, which you may know from Pirates of the Caribbean, but was also a real place. And it did not end well.
Yeah. So you can die you can't die just from being attacked or from an illness, but you can die from a country at war with you.
Yes. Yeah, you can't die from anyone attacking you unless it's a whole country. Yes.
It has to be a nationalistic situation.
That's absolutely right. And
which,
yes,
it does explain why you did not bring the politics up at first, because
it's confusing. Yes.
Well, because this is the only way you can. This is where your mortality comes into play.
That's true. Yes. If the country of Greece knew I was an ancient Greek and they went to war with me to recapture their history or something, I could be at great risk.
Oh no. Yeah. I don't think current day Greece can afford that, but
thank God.
Thankfully, so yes. I think you're good.
It is hard to see, my land of origin in such dire straits, but at the same time, it's been a long time since they've let me in.
You have seen Pirates of the Caribbean because you said it a second. What did they get wrong about pirates?
Yes, great question.
Because I know you always hear when like doctors watch ER or whatever, they're like, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. Or Grey's Anatomy, they're like, oh, doctors don't have sex with ghosts. That happened one time.
Yes.
Do they really swashbuckle?
Oh, they swashbuckle. They sure swashbuckle. They definitely, they absolutely Davy Jones's pirate ship with the Squid Man and everything. That's all real.
Oh, wow. What about Skeleton Monkey?
Skeleton Monkey for sure real. What they got wrong was the accents.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were all Greek?
Yeah, they all sounded like me. Very Greek.
Well, I mean, it's good to know that those movies are pretty accurate.
It's surprisingly accurate. I actually got to, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I got to consult a little bit on those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they asked me what the ships look like.
You're in the biz, it sounds like.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. I only got to consult on that because Johnny Depp was a friend until he went off the deep end. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or at least until he was it was known that he was off the deep end.
True, yeah. I didn't distance myself until it became, I feel bad about it. I didn't distance myself from him until it became necessary to. Kind of like how Seth Rogen didn't distance himself from James Franco until he was pressured into it.
It's this cancel culture thing. It's just this cancel culture. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
Finally, someone says it.
Yes, and I think we could have done well with cancel culture back in the 1400s. Columbus would have been canceled before he had a chance to kill all those Native Americans.
Wait, what would he have been canceled for before doing that?
He was very rude on boats.
Oh, no. He did seem like a rude, mean guy. Well, you've transitioned into internet piracy. Do you miss the sea shantying days?
I do miss the sea shantying days. I used to sing while I lime-wired, but now that it's just torrenting and you kind of just leave it passively be, it's not as fun to come up with a shanty to cover the time while you're waiting for something to download. I have so many roots and so many seeds that they're all just out there uploading and I'm out over here downloading. It's all happening all at once. There's no point in just covering it up with a song.
When you say you're like an internet pirate, you're just downloading a bunch of stuff on the internet? That's all you're doing?
Yes, you see, I've become a big fan of NHL hockey, and because of course they're the men who look the most like pirates in the world, and they're the only
those hats.
Well, yeah, underneath the helmets, of course. Yes, you put a eye patch or a hat on one of those fellas, they're gonna look exactly like they belong in a 1400s sea boat. But
well, they're missing so many teeth, just like so many. I'm sure you've met many a tooth missing person in your travels.
Absolutely. It used to be much more common, before dentists. The reason I mention the NHL is if you want to watch an NHL game not the day it happens, there's only one place to get the files, and it's a Russian website where you have to download it as a pirate. That's how I got into piracy. And then I discovered, you can watch TV shows and movies on here too. This is fantastic.
I mean, yeah, that's really exciting. What do you think the future of piracy is? Is it still going to be online? Do you think you're going to hit the seas eventually? Again?
I can't wait to get back to the seas, All this online piracy is very passive, like I said, but I miss swinging a sword in someone's face and yelling, "I am now your captain." So I definitely intend to hit the seas again, see if I can't conquer a submarine. That's my white whale, is to capture a U.S. submarine.
Oh, wow. I feel like that's going to be tough, but what's the plan?
Because they're underwater.
Yeah, it's under the water, so you have to hold your breath.
Yes.
And they're metal, so you got to chew through that.
Exactly. That's what's been so difficult. I can hold my breath forever, I can't die. So I swim down there, my peg trailing behind my ass, just dangling in the water like some kind of lantern on one of those lantern fish, with the big teeth from the depths. And anglerfish, that's their name. I should know that. I am of the sea. But I get down to the submarine and there's no way in without flooding the whole boat and ruining it.
why have you sort of given up on, I mean, just traditional ship piracy? Like, I know you're going after a submarine now. You've sort of shifted to internet piracy. What happened to just good old fashioned taking over ships? You got bored of it, or?
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, it got harder for me after the peg and the colostomy bag and I can't take the hat off or my head will fall off. So I really have a lot of things that make it difficult for me to go from ship to ship anymore. And without my crew, who of course lived the normal 30 years that a man lives, I didn't have any hope of wrangling a ship of my own anymore. So I moved on to something I could get, which is, first I thought an NFL football career, and then I found out piracy on the internet.
I don't want to speak too soon. I mean, Dr. London knows so much about ships. I'm just a good hang. I feel like we could be a good crew.
Oh,
Dr.
my
London?
gosh.
I mean, how do you feel about this?
Oh, if I have to, just like the amount of people that are required.
I mean, you said you knew what a mast was, right?
Yeah, mast cells. Yeah, they're released with histamine. Yeah.
Yes, but you also mentioned the big wood stick with the sail on it, which is what a mast is in terms of boating.
Oh, right, that too. Yeah. I mean, as long as we can get, I like, Cameron, if you can handle shoveling coal and rowing and adjusting the sails accordingly. Because for me, the part that I know really on how to make sure ship functions correctly is I drink tea and look for icebergs.
Yes.
It's an important job.
Yeah, and
I can shovel stuff, I can push stuff.
Okay.
I know how to climb a ladder, so I mean, I'm useful too.
And
so
I sit on my peg near the steering wheel and yell out directions and make decisions. I can't actually drive the boat, but I can make decisions about where it goes.
So none of us know how to drive a boat.
I do not know how to drive the boat.
That will make it tough.
But honestly, don't they just drive themselves at this point? Like, can we just plug some AI chatbot into it to make it drive for us?
Yeah, probably. It's probably just like planes, right? You just press a button, you press takeoff and then land, and that's flying a plane.
Yes.
All right. I think that's about it. Well, thank you so much to Captain Pegas for being on the show. Is there any are you a fan of anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, sure. I'm a fan of this guy, Ezra Parter, who's on the UCB Herald team Headbutt, and you can find him at Ezra Partier on Instagram or Ezra Parter on Twitter and TikTok, and also the Daily Misinformer at Daily Misinformer. I love seeing them make fun of my old witch's older sister, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, great. So do check that out, listeners. Listen, well, we're about to get a listener. We're on our way to getting listeners. And once again, thank you to Captain Pegas. Thank you to producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House.
Culture thing. It's just this cancel culture. You know what I mean?
Finally, someone says it.
It's this cancel culture thing. It's just this cancel culture. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think we could have done well with cancel culture back in the 1400s. Columbus would have been canceled before he had a chance to kill all those Native Americans.
Wait, what would he have been canceled for before doing that?
He was very rude on boats.